Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Twitter Files. We have a new release today, and this one is regarding COVID. The release this time was from Alex Berenson, and I will list his name in the description below if you would like to give him a follow on Twitter. This is his first time doing a Twitter Files report. He did it a little bit differently. Normally, the reporters have put their full reporting in Twitter file thread format. This one, he did a brief thread and linked to a full story. So I'm going to do this one a little differently. I'm going to read the full thread as he posted it, and then I am going to read the story that he has linked. Okay, and here we go. My first Twitter Files report, how Scott Gottlieb, MD, a top Pfizer board member, used the same Twitter lobbyist as the White House to suppress debate on COVID vaccines, including from a fellow head of the U.S. FDA. Thanks, Elon Musk, for opening these files. In August 2021, Gottlieb told Todd O'Boyle, a senior manager in Twitter's public policy department, that a tweet from Dr. Guerrier claiming correctly that natural immunity was superior to vaccine immunity was corrosive and might go viral. Twitter put a misleading tag on the tweet, preventing it from being shared. Gottlieb then went after a tweet about COVID's low risk to kids from Justin Hart. Pfizer would soon win the okay for its mRNA shots for children, so keeping parents scared was crucial. In October 2022, Scott Gottlieb, MD, claimed on Twitter and CNBC that he was not trying to suppress debate on mRNA jabs. These files prove that Gottlieb, board member at a company that has made $70 billion on the shots, did just that. And then he says, full story here, and I will read that for you now. From the Twitter Files, Pfizer board member Scott Gottlieb secretly pressed Twitter to hide posts challenging his company's massively profitable COVID jabs. To funnel his demands, Gottlieb used the same Twitter lobbyist the White House did, fresh evidence of overlap between the company selling mRNA shots and the government forcing them on the public. On August 27, 2021, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, a Pfizer director with over 550,000 Twitter followers, saw a tweet he didn't like, a tweet that might hurt sales of Pfizer's mRNA vaccines. The tweet explained correctly that natural immunity after COVID infection was superior to vaccine protection. It called on the White House to, quote, follow the science and exempt people with natural immunity from upcoming vaccine mandates. It came not from an anti-vaxxer like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but from Dr. Brett Guerrier, apologies if I mispronounce his name, a physician who had briefly followed Gottlieb as the head of the Food and Drug Administration. Further, the tweet actually encouraged people who did not have natural immunity to go get vaccinated. No matter. By suggesting some people might not need COVID vaccinations, the tweet could raise questions about the shots. Besides being former FDA commissioner, a CNBC contributor, and a prominent voice on COVID public policy, Gottlieb was a senior board member at Pfizer, which depended on mRNA jabs for almost half of its $81 billion in sales in 2021. Pfizer paid Gottlieb $365,000 for his work that year. Gottlieb stepped in, emailing Todd O'Boyle, a top lobbyist in Twitter's Washington office, who was also Twitter's point of contact with the White House. The post was corrosive, Gottlieb wrote. He worried it would, quote, end up going viral and driving news coverage. I found the email in a search of records I ran at Twitter last week. Part of Elon Musk's Twitter Files effort was to raise the veil on censorship decisions Twitter made before Musk bought the company in October. I went into detail about my involvement at the Twitter Files in a Substack article yesterday. I plan more reporting on the files in the weeks to come. Through Jira, an international system Twitter used for managing complaints, O'Boyle forwarded Gottlieb's email to the Twitter Strategic Response Team. That group was responsible for handling concerns from the company's most important employees and users. Quote, "Please see this report from the former FDA commissioner," O'Boyle wrote, failing to mention that Gottlieb was a Pfizer board member with financial interest in pushing the mRNA shots. A strategic response analyst quickly found the tweet did not violate any of the company's misinformation rules. Yet, Twitter wound up flagging Guerrier's tweet anyway, putting a misleading tag on it and preventing almost anyone from seeing it. It remains tagged, even though several large studies have confirmed the truth of Guerrier's words. Again, his tweet that was flagged is this. "It's now clear COVID-19 natural immunity is superior to vaccine immunity by a lot. There's no science justification for vax proof if a person had prior infection. CDC and POTUS must follow the science. And if you have no previous infection, you should get vaccinated." A week later, on September 3rd, 2021, Gottlieb tried to strike again, complaining to O'Boyle about a tweet from Justin Hart. Hart is a lockdown and COVID vaccine skeptic with more than 100,000 Twitter followers. Quote, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but a viral pathogen with a child mortality rate of equivalent to 0 has cost our children nearly 3 years of schooling," Hart had written. Why Gottlieb objected to Hart's words is not clear, but the Pfizer shot would soon be approved for children 5 to 11, representing another massive market for Pfizer, if parents could be convinced COVID was a real threat to their kids. O'Boyle referred to, quote, "former FDA Commissioner Gottlieb" when he forwarded the report, again ignoring Gottlieb's current work for Pfizer. This time, though, Gottlieb's complaint was so far afield that Twitter refused to act. At the same time, Gottlieb was also pressing Twitter to act against me, as I disclosed on Substack on October 13th, 2022, drawing on documents that Twitter's pre-Musk regime provided to me as part of my lawsuit against it. The morning after I wrote that article, Gottlieb appeared on CNBC, the financial news channel where he is a contributor, and offered what at best was a seriously misleading explanation of his actions and his motives. Gottlieb did not deny pressing Twitter on me. He could not, given the documents I had released the night before. But in an interview with Joe Kernan of CNBC, Gottlieb said he had asked Twitter to act only because he was concerned if tweets raised the threat of violence against vaccine advocates. Quote, "The inability of these platforms to police direct threats, physical threats about people, that's my concern about what's going on in that ecosystem," Gottlieb said. "I'm unconcerned about debate being made," Gottlieb told Kernan. "I'm concerned about physical threats being made for people's safety." In a tweet that morning, Gottlieb doubled down, writing, "Respectful debate and dialogue is one thing, and should be encouraged and protected. But there's no place for targeted harassment and misleading dialogue, which can instigate a small but persuadable group of people to make targeted and dangerous threats." But Brett Guerrier's tweet about natural immunity was the definition of respectful debate and dialogue. And in his own email to Todd O'Boyle, Gottlieb did not raise any security concerns about it. He simply complained that it might wind up, quote, driving news coverage. Gottlieb is not just a Pfizer board member. He is one of 7 members of the board's executive committee and the head of its regulatory and compliance committee, which oversees compliance with laws, regulations, internal procedures, if applicable, to pharmaceutical sales and marketing activities. Pfizer has a long history of violating drug industry laws and ethics rules. In 2009, it agreed to pay $2.3 billion, the largest healthcare fraud settlement in American history, for fraudulently marketing several drugs. In 1996, it conducted a clinical trial of an antibiotic in Nigeria in which 11 children died, and which became the inspiration for John le Carre's novel, The Constant Gardener. So, how will Pfizer react to the black and white proof from Twitter's records that one of its most powerful board members secretly tried to suppress the debate on the mRNA jabs that has been by far its best-selling product since 2020? And will CNBC continue to let Gottlieb use it to mislead the public? And that is the end of the story, folks, from Alex Berenson. Now, I was on Twitter, and there was a major Twitter Files debate going on Twitter Spaces. And from, as far as I recall, from all of the Twitter Files that have been released, none of the independent journalists that have done these Twitter Files have immediately hopped onto a Twitter Spaces and actually spoke to people about it. But Alex Berenson did. So I have that clip for you, and I will be uploading a new video tomorrow with Alex Berenson, a debate on the Twitter File Spaces. And again, he is the one that released this Twitter Files and this story here. So look forward to that. I appreciate all of your likes, your subscriptions, and stay tuned. I will always be sure to give you the update on any Twitter Files releases and more. Okay, take care, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.